My dear students, welcome to today's online class. Today we are going to discuss a topic called friend function. Today we are going to discuss regarding this friend function, and afterwards we are going to see how to declare a friend function, and also in this class we are going to discuss properties of this friend function, advantages, disadvantages of this friend function, as well as today we are going to write one C++ program using this friend function concept. Okay, so first let us see what is a friend function. What is a friend function? When we started the concept of classes and object, at that time I said private members can be accessed outside the class with the help of a special function called friend function. Regarding friend function we are going to discuss in the next chapter, right? So at that time I told friend function is used to access members of a class even it is declared under private section, right? Private access specifier. ಹೌದಾ? ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ನಾನು ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಇದೆ, ಅದು ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಅಂಡರಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಡೇಟಾ ಮೆಂಬರ್ನೂ ಕೂಡ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಓನ್ಲಿ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ why we are going to say friend is a special function means only friend function has the capacity to access data member of a class outside the class even though it is declared in private. So how we can define a friend function? This is one of the important function. It is declared in the class, but it is not a member function of a class, but it has the ability to access class data members outside the class without using the scope resolution operator, right? Means if you want to write a member function or a data member we want to access outside means we are using a scope resolution operator, right? So this is a special function. Whenever we are using it means need not to use scope resolution operator also, and it has the ability to access data member which is declared under private can be accessed outside the class with the help of this friend function. So it means how we can define friend function means a function which is not a member function of a class but which has authorization to access the private protected members of a class is called friend function. Means a friend function is a special function which is not a member function of a class but it has the ability to access private protected data members of a class outside the class. A friend function is not a member function of a class but it is a friend to a class. For example, suppose this is a class A, right? This class A contain some data member under private data member under private section, some data member under protected section, like this. And it has a special class, has a special function called friend function, right? In the class we are going to declare some data member under private and public protected mode, and this class A also has a function called friend function. It is not a member function, means this function is not belong to class A. Even though it is declared in class A, but it is not a regular member function of a class. Then also this friend function, suppose in the outside the class the same friend function is there, means this friend function is going to access this private data member. This friend function is going to access this protected data member outside the class. And one more thing, without using any scope resolution operator, right? Usually a member function is there in the class, means suppose we want to define it outside the class, means how to define that function of a class? With the help of scope resolution operator we are defining. Here one function is there, we are going to defining it outside the class, even though we are not using scope resolution operator here, because it is a friend function. This is one point. And second point, what we can observe means, here one function is there inside the class, it is not a member function. Even though it has the ability, the function has the ability to access this private data member as well as protected data member in the outside the class, right? Usually data member which is there under private or protected, it is not accessible outside the class. But here we are accessing private and protected data member outside the class, because this is what? Friend function. So with the help of a friend function we can access private as well as a protected data member outside the class. And whenever we are using friend function, means whenever we are going to write code for the friend function, whenever we are going to define a friend function, means need not to use a scope resolution operator. Usually whenever we are going to define a member function outside the class, means we are using scope resolution operator dot, right? Class name, scope resolution operator, like that. So here scope resolution operator is also not needed. And one more thing, we can access protected as well as a private data member of a class in the friend function. This is the concept of friend function. Now let us see syntax of friend function. Syntax athwa ಏನನ್ಬೋದು general form of friend function. Syntax or general form of friend function. What is the syntax? Class name, open flower bracket, private, some data member, protected, some data member, friend data type of the function, closing of class. Here this function, in the function we have to write class name, so space object. So this is the syntax or general format to use friend function in the class. Means this friend indicates what? Keyword, or also called a reserved word, right? This data type means this data type represents function data type. That function is a int or float or char, like that. And this is the function name. In the function argument place or function parameter place, means open bracket close bracket of a function, what we have to write? Class name and object. We have to mention class name space object. So suppose class name is x, means we have to write here x, and we have to write one object. So this is what syntax of a friend function. So this sentence indicate what? Friend function declaration. Whenever we are going to write code for it outside the class, so that is what? Friend function definition. Means we are writing code, right? So in the class just we are declaring function, that's why this is what? Declaration of friend function. Now let us see, before going to see one program on this, let us see what are the properties of a friend function. What are the properties of a friend function? A friend function is not a member function of the class, but it is a friend to the class. What he says? A friend function is not a member function of a class, but it is a friend to a class. Therefore, the scope resolution operator is not required while defining the friend function outside the class body. What he says? A friend function. A friend function is a friend function is not a member function of a class, but it is a friend to a class. Means we are going to declare a friend function within the class only, but it is not a member function of a class. It is just friend to the class. ಹೌದಾ? ಮೆಂಬರ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ನ ಮೆಂಬರ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಈ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್, ಬಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಟು ದಿ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್. ಯೂಶ್ವಲಿ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಮೆಂಬರ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ಗೆ ಕೋಡ್ ನಾವು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬರೆದ್ರೆ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಯೂಸ್ ಸ್ಕೋಪ್ ರೆಸಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಪರೇಟರ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಮೆಂಬರ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅಂದಮೇಲೆ ಇದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಡಿಫೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಸ್ಕೋಪ್ ರೆಸಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಪರೇಟರ್ ಬೇಕಾಗೇ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಹೌದಾ? ವೆನ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಕೋಪ್ ರೆಸಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಪರೇಟರ್, whenever we are going to define a member function outside the class, at that time we are using scope resolution operator. When this friend is not a member function of a class ಅಂದಮೇಲೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಕೋಪ್ ರೆಸಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಪರೇಟರ್ ಕೂಡ ಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಹೌದಾ? ವಾಟ್ he says? This friend function is not a member function of a class, and therefore whenever we are going to define it, we are not using scope resolution operator outside the class. And second point, a class may have number of friend functions, and a function may be function may be friend to any number of classes. Means what he says? A class may have more than one friend function, no problem. Second properties of friend function means a class may contain a number of friend function, no problem. And next point, it can be either declared in the private or public part of a class without affecting its meaning. Means we can declare this friend function anywhere in the class. You declare it after private, you declare it after protected, no problem. It is not affecting its declaration. Whenever the friend function is not a member function, means you can declare it anywhere in the class, no problem. The access specifiers are not affecting on a friend function, right? Access specifier is not needed for friend function, we can say actually, right? And next point, use of a friend function is rare since it violates the rules of encapsulation and data hiding. What is this? See here, use of a friend function is rare since it violates the rules of encapsulation and data binding. Means whenever we are using class concept, means we are going to write access specifier private, protected, public, right? Means public means that the data member is accessible inside the class as well as outside the class. Private means it is accessible within the class. So it is accessible within the class, means that data member is limited to only in that class only. With the help of friend function, if it is there in the private means, then also we are going to access the data member means, where is the protection? So here we are using the concept of friend function means, this private data can also be accessed outside the class. So protection is not there. That's why friend function is used rarely in the program. The data members are going to be declared under private means what? We are going to provide protection to it. It is not accessible outside the class. But using friend function, we can access private data means friend function violates the concept of, avoids the concept of encapsulation and data hiding. That's why this is not used generally in the programming, because it violates the rules of encapsulation and data hiding, right? And next point, he says a friend function cannot be called using the object of the class. It is not in the scope of class. Very important, right? A friend function cannot be called using object of that class. It is not in the scope of the class, right? So for example, a class contain some xyz function. Suppose we are going to write code for it outside the class means we are using scope resolution operator. Or so means whenever we are using friend function means it is not possible or it is not necessary to use object of that class. Howda? Usually data members na access madbekadre object dot data member antidve, but friend function use madidre ಏನಂತನ outside the class object ನಿಂದ access ಮಾಡೋದು ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. So these 5 points represents what? Characteristics, properties of a friend function. And next let us see advantages of a friend function. Advantages of friend function, right? What are the advantages? What are the advantages of friend function? First point, using friend function we can access private members. Howda? Private members anna access madokke agalla, but friend function concept use madidre we can access private members of a class. Second point, A friend function can be defined outside the class without using a scope resolution operator. This is also advantage, right? Suppose in the class we declared any function means, suppose we want to define it outside the class means, how to define that function of a class? With the help of a scope resolution operator. But we declared a friend function inside the class and we want to define it outside the class means, here need not to use a scope resolution operator because it is a friend function, it is a friend to a class. Directly we can use name of the function without using scope resolution operator, without using class name. So these two are the advantages of a friend function. And the next one, disadvantages means only one disadvantages. I think already you know, right? What is that disadvantages? It violates the rules of encapsulation and data hiding. It violates the rules of encapsulation and data hiding. It means, data hiding means what? Protecting data members of a class using ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫೈರಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೆದಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಡೇಟಾ ಮೆಂಬರ್ನ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಇದು ಪ್ರೈವೇಟಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಡೇಟಾ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್ನ ಬರೆದಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಹಾಗಂದರೆ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ದು ಏನು ಯೂಸ್ ಆಯಿತು? ಹೌದಾ? ನಾವೆಲ್ಲಿ ಡೇಟಾ ಹೈಡಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿದಂಗೆ ಆಯಿತು. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸಿಬಲ್ ಈಸಿಲಿ ಔಟ್ಸೈಡ್. ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ಸ್ ವೈ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ we are going friend function na use ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಡೇಟಾ ಹೈಡಿಂಗ್ ಎನ್ಕ್ಯಾಪ್ಸುಲೇಷನ್ನ ಅವಾಯ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದಂಗೆ ಆಯಿತು. ಹೌದಾ? ಡೇಟಾ ಹೈಡಿಂಗ್ನಿಂದ ಅಂದರೆ ಆ ಡೇಟಾನ ಅದೇ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲೇ ಹೈಡ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾವು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ದಿಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ವಯೋಲೇಟ್ಸ್ ದಿ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಡೇಟಾ ಹೈಡಿಂಗ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಎನ್ಕ್ಯಾಪ್ಸುಲೇಷನ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್, ಡಿಕ್ಲರೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್, properties of friend function, advantages and disadvantages of friend function. Now let us see one program on friend function, then it is easy for you. Now I am going to write one C++ program using the concept of friend function. That is, write a C++ program to check whether the number is even or odd using friend function. Right? So last year you written this program whether the number is even or odd just using C++, right? So how means we have to accept a number and we have to divide that number by 2. Afterwards we get its remainder. How to get remainder? Using modulus operator, right? If after division, if remainder is equal to 0 means number is even. After division, that remainder is not equal to 0 means number is odd. This is the concept. So now we have to find it or write a C++ program to check whether given number is even or odd using friend function concept, right? Let us see. So I am using hash include IO stream.h, right? Hash include iostream.h. Next, hash include conio.h class. I am saying class name number because we have to check that number is even or not odd. That's why I am taking class name as number. Next, private. In private, I am going to declare one int variable n. Okay. in a public, I am going to declare on class member function, that is not a friend, that is not friend function, just I am declaring one member function, void, because to accept a number, read function, enter a number C in A stored in N, close it. Okay, now I am going to declare friend function, right? Now I am going to declare a friend function in the class. So I already told declaration of friend function, right? Write the syntax, friend and data type of the function int. We have to find even or odd, right? So that's why is even function I am taking is even. What is the syntax? Class name space object name. Class name is number, take one object as obj semicolon, because this is friend function declaration. This is what? Friend function declaration. That's why I end with the semicolon. And now close the class with the semicolon. Next, what we have to write? Next we have to write, this is comment wide, definition of friend function. Means now we have to write code for this friend function. So take it, how to take? So int is even of, here also we have to take a class name, object name, number space obj, right? Don't put semicolon here because we have to write code here, right? So next, if what we have to decide here, we have to take this n and how to take that n, obj dot n mod 2 is equal to 0, then what? Return of 1, else return of 0, right? Now close the definition. Just first I am going to write main program, afterwards I am going to explain it. Next, void main function. So in the main function, what is the first step? Object declaration. How to declare object? Class name, that is number space object name is obj, right? Next, CLR SSCR clear screen function. Next, we have to call, right, this read function. So therefore obj dot read function. Next, if is even, if is even of object Cout number is even, else Cout number is odd. Get close. See here, now I am going to explain how it works, then it is very easy to you understand, right? As usually, you know, program execution starts from a main function. So here first step is what? Object declaration, right? Next clear skin, object dot read function, then cursor comes to read function. Enter a number, you are entering one number, that is 5. This is stored in n, right? So next it comes once again main program. If is even of object means this is what? Function call. Is even of object, then cursor goes to is even function, right? Is even of object, then cursor goes to is even of, here number comma space object means we have to write class name according to syntax. Class name is number, that's why I used number and object. So this object and this object must be same. Next, inside, if object dot n mod 2 is equal to 0 means n object dot n means n value is 5. So 5 mod 2 is equal to 0. 5 mod 2 means this mod gives reminder. 2 2 ja 4, 1. This 1 is the answer, reminder, because we used modulus operator. So 5 mod 2 means 1. 1 is equal to 0? No, because 5 is odd, right? What we have to get? Number is odd, result we have to get, right? So 1 is equal to 0? No. No means this if of this gives if of object dot n mod 2 is equal to 0 means 1 is equal to 0, double equal to 0 means compares. No, no means else, else means return 0. So this function, this even function is even function, return 0 to here. So if of is even of object means is even of object gives 0. If of 0, if of 1 means first immediate one. If of 0 means else. Else means what is there else? Number is odd. 5 is odd. 5 is odd. So we get number is odd. Means here friend function is declared within the class. We are declaring friend function. So whenever we are declaring friend function, we have to put a semicolon, and this friend function is declared in the class. It may be declared in the private or public, no problem. There is no access specifier needed for friend function. It is declared in the class, but it is not a member function of a class. And next point, whenever we are declaring function, friend function, at that time in the parenthesis what we have to write? Class name space object we have to write. This is the syntax. So whenever we are defining it outside the class, at that time don't write this friend keyword. This friend keyword is needed preceded when declaring friend function inside the class. When writing code for that function, means we are writing code outside the class, right? So here don't write friend. This is wrong. So whenever you are going to declare friend function, at that time you have to write a keyword friend. Friend function declaration preceded with a keyword called friend. But friend function definition is not having a keyword friend. That's why I am not written here friend. And write friend function definition outside the class. Afterwards, in the main function, you just call this as usually. This is a function calling statement. This is outside the main function caller statement, right? So this is what we discussed in this class. In this class, we discussed definition of friend function, declaration of friend function, definition of friend function. By combining all these three, we written one C++ program using friend function concept. Also, we discussed properties of friend function, advantages, disadvantages of friend function. Thank you, students.